Build a team in 45 minutes or less. Is it possible? Yes, it is. I'm going to share with you how to build a team in 45 minutes or less if you're willing to take this challenge. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, turn off all of your alerts. We all know that we have the alerts going right now. Turn them off, just silence them for a minute, 45 minutes. And let's dig into this. My name is Cantey. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. We share business best practices on business vitality found on all the major podcast outlets. And this is heading into year 4, I believe, that we're doing the podcast. So I'm pretty excited about that. And today I'm sharing pretty much what a power coaching call was earlier this week. And when you're in the moment, you've got stuff that's going on, you're having the conversation, you're learning a bunch of stuff. We're all taking notes. And I'm like, oh, that was good. I need to be able to write this down. And so I took a few minutes, I jotted this stuff down, and I'm excited to be able to share with you what we were able to take away from a very impactful 45-minute or less. This, again, was just a power coaching call. This wasn't one of the full-blown normal stakeholder center coaching calls. But what we did is we went through, and one of the goals was how to build a team. And instead of just talking about it, we created action with it. And a lot of times we just need to be able to start with action. We've got to figure out how to take the first step, and it's building the momentum, and it's step after step after step that we're going to finally be able to create the momentum to create the success to get us to where we need to go. And we're talking about building a team. So how do we get started on this? I have found, working with a number of leaders, and I have worked with leaders all over organizations. I've worked with leaders within $300 billion financial institutions. I have worked with small business owners. I have worked with team members that are on the front line. I used to go jump into pickup trucks and ride around with them and go call on customers in the ag district, agricultural world. I used to go sit in medical offices and in people's offices that have multiple medical offices, and we had to go chase down money and figure out what the money flow was within an organization. So through all these different opportunities, I've gotten to speak with a lot of people with a lot of different observations of how business runs. And so I've been able to see a lot over my 20 plus years in corporate. And now I've stepped out and I'm providing executive coaching to others. And so what I'm doing is blending a 40 year stakeholder centered coaching framework with my 20 plus years being in corporate, getting up Monday morning, packing a suitcase and traveling for the week and coming home at the end of the week, and being able to get into all of these businesses to see how they operate, because money does open up doors. So I get to go in to see many different verticals that are out there for businesses. When we get back to it, business vitality, when we get back to business fundamentals, when we get back to this stuff, we've got to build a team. We've got to build our people. We've got to be able to build. And so I think it's kind of funny. I think it's funny because it's not always my situation that I'm in. I think it's funny when it's somebody else's situation, and I think we can all relate to that. It's only funny if you're not in it. So it's funny to listen to executives talk about building a team, and it's funny to listen to managers talk about building a team. And even in this past year, I've learned and confirmed that they still have different opinions. So here's I love a practical application. So here is the executive definition of building a team. An executive level, a CEO, the C-suite, the head of HR, all these great talented people, leaders in the organization. The executive definition of building a team is get more out of the same people. That's my personal opinion. An executive level definition of building a team is get more out of the same people. Now, as I said earlier, I'm an executive coach, and we have access to be able to have conversations with different people. And this particular work, stakeholder center coaching, it helps me create with my clients a measurable leadership change using practical applications that accelerate the results. And so what I'm learning is, as I meet with the managers, not necessarily the C-level, but I meet with the managers, and what the manager's definition can be when it comes to building a team is we need to hire more people. And if we compare these definitions, they don't align, they don't reconcile. So the executive level is we need to get more out of less people or more out of the same people. We have the manager's definition. They're on the front line, they're watching, they're just surviving. Sometimes they're just in this total reactive and they need to be in a proactive mode. That's a whole nother conversation that we can get into. But the manager's definition is we just need to hire more people. We just need to put more logs on the fire. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. And we need to stop and we need to figure out what the opportunity is in front of us. We need to identify what the gaps are. We need to begin to close the gaps. Because what we learn in business and what we learn in boardrooms is the biggest expense on most of these businesses' line items is staffing, is the investment in the humans that are running the business. So we need to figure out which definition is right. And before we can just go hire more people, we do have to go figure out, can we get more out of the same people? Are we giving the same people the same task for the same 5 years? And things have changed. We all know things have changed. So do they need to keep doing the same things that they were doing 5 years ago? Are we investing in these people like we should be investing? And so when we dig into this, I can't help but kind of chuckle because, again, I'm just the outsider that's kind of looking in. The executive definition is get more out of the same people. That's building teams for them. And then when you're the manager, you're on the front line. And I have felt it myself because I've started this business. And at times I'm just like, you know what? We just need to hire more people because I can't do it all. But when I take the time to think about how do we re-navigate, how do we re-engineer what we've got, maybe we don't need to hire more people. Maybe we do just need to reconfigure some processes and some work that we're doing. So we have the executive level, this definition, just get more out of the same people. And then we have the manager definition, which is hire more people. And at both times, different times, they could both be right. And what we need to do is kind of dig into this. And so this is where this what I would call a power coaching session, it was just something that was off the books. And we jumped on a call. I said, hey, we got 45 minutes. Let's just dig right into the work. And we were able to do that. And so within 45 minutes, these are the questions that I asked. These are the questions that I shared. And if you're just now joining, my name is Cantey. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. On Business Vitality, we share business best practices. As an executive coach, I'm working with leaders. I'm working with individuals and teams and businesses. And we are creating measurable leadership change. We do that using practical applications. Because we use practical applications, the results are being accelerated and they're being sustained. So super important. 100% of all of my clients have been able to create measured success as seen by the people that are around them. I'm a former banker, recovering banker, and being able to measure leadership is really important to me. To be able to put goals around what we are working on is really important to me. And so I'm blending a 4-decade process that's been used with half of the Fortune 100 CEOs. And I'm using Marshall Goldsmith's Stakeholder Center Coaching, and I'm blending it with my 20 plus years in corporate. And when we bring this together, we get to have these types of conversations that I think are pretty impactful for our clients. And so here I am sharing it with you today. Sometimes we get into these conversations and we're like, oh, that was good. I need to write that stuff down. So here we are. And if you want to learn more about the work that I'm doing, you can visit me at catherinecantey.com. You can schedule a call and I would be happy to hear kind of what is on your plate. And if you're like, I'm kind of interested in coaching, I have an application process. If you would like to apply, I just have a few people that I work with every year. I would love for you to be able to apply. We can have a conversation. We can see if it's a good fit and go from there. So, all right, power coaching session, 45 minutes. This is what we talked about. And I've got my notes because I wanted to make sure I carried everything through. Keep in mind, this recording is not going to be 45 minutes in length. I want you to be able to go back and listen to it. You'll be able to find it on LinkedIn. You'll be able to find it on my YouTube channel. Both are under the name Catherine Cantey. And go through this. Make sure you've got pen, paper. Turn off the alerts. Turn off the alerts on your cell phone. Turn off the alerts on your emails and just take some thinking time as we go through this. And so I want to be able to ask these questions. And these are the same types of questions that we were able to cover during this particular coaching call that I had with a client. And I want to start by sharing that remember what the number one complaint is that CEOs share with me. And if you followed me for a while, you know what it is. Every time I go out and see CEOs, this is what they tell me their biggest problem is. Their biggest problem is they can hire more people to fill out the TPS reports. And if you're old enough to remember what a TPS report is, we can all laugh because we've all been there and we've all been in entry-level positions where we just have to fill out reports. And I lovingly call them TPS reports because we're just like, where are these reports going? But somebody needs them, so we type them in. So a CEO does not need to hire any more people to complete a TPS report. Those jobs are super easy to fill. We can do those day in and day out. The number one complaint that I have seen CEOs have is they can't find enough people to hire who are thinkers, who are planners, who are strategic thought partners. That's what we need. This is what we're going to do right now in this moment, is to be able to take time to think, to plan, to be strategic. We're going to be proactive. We're not going to be reactive when it comes to building a team. So keeping that in mind and thinking that we want to be able to support the leaders that are around us, both up and down, sideways, in all directions. We want to be a good team member. We want to be able to support our CEOs with other thinkers that are in the organization. So it starts with us. A lot of times we talk about, I just wish the office was more positive when I walked in. Well, it starts with us. When we walk into the office, are we giving compliments? Or are we talking about how the light bulb isn't working and the ice maker's broken again? It starts with us. And what are we choosing to do every day? And so if the organization needs more thinkers, which I have not met one organization who says I have too many thinkers, we need to head in that direction. So to do that, grab the paper, grab the pen, turn off the alerts, and I want you to jot down, and you may have to go back and listen to this and pause. And sometimes I like to listen to things throughout, and then I go back and re-listen and pause. So the first question is, what's the goal? And if you heard at the beginning of this live, the goal is building the team. So you may have a different goal. You may have a goal that is you want to improve delegation or you want to improve time management. I don't know what it is, but jot down what the goal is. I do know that if you keep the goal simple, it sure makes it easier to implement. So don't do a thesis paper on what the goal is. And this is what I've seen a lot of clients do is they write so many words for a goal that should be so simple. Because if we're not keeping it simple, it's just going to be noise and we're not going to be able to pay attention. So keep it simple. Do 2 words. Build team. Improve the team. That's 3 words. Improve time management. Improve delegation. Whatever it may be, write down your goal. In this particular instance, we're going to talk about building the team. And it's okay if you got a different goal, just go with it. But this is what we're going to do. Write down the word build team. So that's going to be the goal. Goal equals build team. Now, who do you want your stakeholders to be? Who is on the team that you want to help build? In this particular instance, on this particular coaching call, there were some junior employees that the person wanted to work with. And so the junior employees just hadn't been on the job as long, or maybe they just didn't have the tenure that some of the executives had. And so that's okay. But what we want to do is identify who these individuals are. And we want to identify, who on the team do we want to be able to build a stronger team with? Because if we make it easier for them, we make it easier for us, and it's a win-win. It's a triple win because it makes it better for the company as well. So identify maybe 2, 3 people that you really want to improve this building team relationship with. Jot those names down as well. These are going to be your stakeholders. Now we're going to do a little bit of a gap analysis, and I want to go ahead and just kind of identify what are they doing well, maybe what they could improve upon, that kind of stuff. So these questions are, so you've got the goal at the top of the paper, and then maybe you've got 2 names or 3 names on the paper. And then underneath that, we're just going to kind of create a funnel, because I like to kind of start big, and then we're going to funnel down and then create, pretty much an action plan. So we've got the 2 or 3 names at the top of the sheet. We've got the goal of improve the team. We've got the leaders' names next. And then under the leaders' names, we want to write down what are 1 or 2, maybe even 3 things that they do really well. So if it's Susan, write down what does Susan do really well. Maybe she's a really good thinker. She's strategic. She's a great thought partner. Maybe she turns in all of her reports well. Maybe she's very thorough. I'm not sure. But you just write down the individual's name and write down maybe 2 or 3 things that this particular person does really well. Then the next person, write down that person's name and just write down what do they do really well. They may be there early in the office. They may just be able to handle really hard conversations with clients or hard conversations within the organization. Maybe they work in finance. Maybe they're like, the budget's not working. We got to go back and crunch the numbers. I don't know what it is, but every person should be able to provide at least 1 or 2 things of value that you can see. And so we want to go through each person. So maybe you've got 2, 3 people, and I want you to write down underneath their names 2 or 3 things that they do really well. All right, so after we do that, come down to the next line underneath what they do really well. The next line is going to be what is only one thing that you really want them to improve upon. What is one thing that you think, gosh, if they could just do that one thing better, be a game changer. So instead of killing them with 1,600 things that, drive you insane, just focus on that one thing that you think that Susan could work on, that Todd could work on, that Mark could work on. Write down that one thing that if that person could do that, it would be amazing. And it may be something as simple as they need to speak at a more executive level for communications. Maybe they're good with detail, but man, when they deliver it, it's like, they're killing me with detail. We just need to take it to an executive level. Maybe, they're just in the constant reactive mode. They're really good at putting out fires, but they're just not planning. So maybe, identify what those things are. So we've got the goal at the top. We've got the 3 names, 2 or 3 names at the next line. We've got maybe 2 or 3 things that each person does really well that we appreciate about them. We've got the one thing that we really wish that each person could work on. Something that, if they could, do a little bit better with this, it would just be a game changer. So if you're just joining, my name is Cantey. I'm an executive coach. I'm one of 12 Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder Center coaches in the U.S., and 100% of my clients have been able to create measured success. And I'm just thrilled to be able to take this particular tailored coaching lesson and be able to share it with you. All of the conversations that I have are very tailored into very, unique situations that individuals are in, that leaders are in. And so this is what we're sharing today, is how to build a team in less than 45 minutes. So we've got the goal, we've got their names, we've got what they do well, one thing that they need to work on. Now we're going to move into the next line. The next line is going to be, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that they didn't do so well? So jot down, we all have, ideas of maybe things they could have improved upon. Maybe, they're always late on the expense reports. Maybe they're constantly late to the meetings. Maybe they never have an agenda for the meeting. They just show up and they just look dazed and confused. I don't know. But write down whatever it is that maybe they goofed up on lately. So you'll do it under each person's name, under Susan's name or whoever it is. Just write down 2 examples of where maybe she goofed up on, dropped the ball. Same thing with Todd, same thing with Mark. These are just my made up names. So you've got these individuals and you've got examples of maybe things that they could have done better. You may have to pause at this point because you're like, oh my God, they have 27 things. How am I going to pick 2? It'll be fine. We're just going through trying to pick a few things, examples of what they've goofed up on. And we don't want it to be too long because nobody wants to hear 27 things they did wrong. They can deal with 1 or 2, but that's about it. All right, next line. What we want to write down is, what is one thing that they knocked it out of the park with? One thing that they recently, within the last 90 days, they just killed it. I mean, just did an amazing job on a particular project. It could be a scheduling project. It could be something around the office, like they just handled it and you didn't have to deal with it. We all know that we love those people and we want more of those people in our world, of the fact that I didn't have to go do something, that somebody just took it and owned it. And so you may have a new employee and you're like, I don't even know what they're doing. But if we pay attention to what they're doing, we're having conversations with them, we begin to see that maybe they're taking the initiative on something small, and we want to write down that something small. Or maybe they have incredible connections with somebody, just a great network that kind of opens up new doors that we didn't even know we had. And so we want to write down for Susan, for Todd, for Mark, my made up names that I just came up with. Write down one thing that each person does really, really well. And again, we're building this team. We're building people up in the course of basically a 45-minute session here. We probably won't take 45 minutes. You can come back and listen to this and hit pause and readjust if you need to. So write down the one thing that they do amazingly well. Then you may need to hit pause after I ask this question, which is, what's the theme? Sometimes it's a theme that reflects back on us. Sometimes we're looking at the individuals and we see what their gaps are, what their opportunities are to improve upon. It could be a reflection on us, on our personality and our leadership style. And that's okay if these people lead in a different way. They may be strategic in thought and we are like, go, 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 110 miles an hour. So yeah, we probably think we need to bring them up from 80 miles an hour to at least 90 miles an hour because I'm used to going to 110. So look at the theme and see what that theme is of what maybe the gaps are. Look at the theme of what they're doing really well. And I have managed to find folks that have identified talent in the organization that are really good at doing reports. And it's usually the executives. They're like, so-and-so loves to pull these reports. And the executive is like, I don't ever want to pull a report. I mean, I can look at them, I can analyze them, but I don't want to pull the report. And they find folks that are really good at that and they enjoy doing that and they want to do more of it. So, as we begin to see what do they do really well and talk to them about it, we find out they love to do the stuff that I don't even love to do. So maybe this isn't such a bad thing. So write down what that theme is that you're beginning to see. What's the theme of what the gap is? What's the theme of what they do really well? The theme might be each person does something uniquely really well. That's going to be pretty amazing because you can't be everything to everybody. And so if you got 2 to 3 people that are doing really good stuff that you don't want to do or don't have the capacity to do anymore, then that's fine too. So just look at this and begin to look at, okay, what are they doing really well? And this is kind of our pivot standpoint here. So now we've got this one-page document with their information on it. It's unique to you. Again, this is very tailored to your particular needs. And what you're going to do is you're going to give before you get. So give before you get, give before you take back. And I strongly recommend reaching out to these individuals, to Susan, to Todd, to Mark, to my made up people, and give them the compliment. Make it authentic, make it from the heart. Let them know you're an amazing rock star when it comes to these TPS reports. You're an amazing strategic thinker. You can schedule a calendar better than anybody else. Make it whatever it is, but reach out to them. If you want to stand out in a world of electronics, pick up a piece of note card and handwrite it. It is mind-blowing how many times I've handwritten a note and gone out to see a client and it's at their desk because they got so many other things that are out there. They want something positive to sit on their desk because most executives, they hear junk all day long. They hear the problems. They don't get to hear a whole lot of nice stuff. So they leave the nice note on the desk and it has your name on it. It's not such a terrible thing. So let's build before we take. Let's give before we take. And handwrite them a note, send them an email, send them a text, whatever it is that you need to do. But let them know that they're doing a great job with details of what you appreciate them for. After you're going to be able to do that, within the next week or so, I would suggest reaching back out to them and say, I'm looking at continuing to build this team. I've got some ideas. Are you open to collaborating? So this is another trick of the trade. We're going to ask, we're not going to tell, because they may be at max capacity and they just mentally can't handle it. For all we know, they're going out to vacation next week, and it's just not going to be a good time to talk about what they're doing well or how to build a team. So be considerate of whatever it is that's going on in their life and ask instead of tell. And just say, hey, I'm looking at building the team. Super excited about it. and be upbeat. Don't be like, man, I got to build this team because they won't let me hire anybody else. Let's try to avoid the negativity. And what we need to do is to be able to ask and not necessarily cram it down their throat. We can cram it down their throat later, but we can at least start by being nice and ask and just say, hey, I'm working on building a team. I got some ideas. I'd love to sit down and be able to share that with you. See what they say. It kind of shifts it. It allows them to feel a little bit of ownership in what it is that we're working on. So after you do that, you're going to want to identify whatever it is that they did really well. So identify whatever it was that they did really well and lead the meeting with that and say, we have this new project that's coming up. It's this water plant project that's coming up. And with this water plant project that we have coming up, I couldn't help but notice your scheduling skills are phenomenal. The way you take it, you own it, you deliver it, and you knocked it out of the park with that other project. How can we make your scheduling skills for that project the North Star, like the guiding light that's going to carry us through for this water plant project? How do we take what you did so well with that past project and apply it to this new one that we have coming up? So set them up for success. Share with them what they've done really well. Like, I love that you took it, you owned it, you ran with it, you created solutions for every problem that you ever saw. And if you're grasping for straws, each person has the capacity to be able to solve for these problems. And so we want to find whatever small thing it is that they did, and they probably have done numerous things really well, but talk about what you liked about that project and then ask them, how do you take that skill set that you created for that past project and apply it to this new project? And listen to what they have to say. Listen to what they have to say and ask questions like, what do I need to do as a leader to set you up for success, like what you did with that past project, so you can do that exact same thing, that same ownership, that same proactive planning, and apply it to the project going forward with this other project. So how, as your manager, as your leader, how do I remove roadblocks to set you up for success so you can do it again? This is where we're going to get quiet as a manager, and we're going to listen. And different people have different thinking patterns. And so some people, they may just shoot from the hip and they may tell you, well, here are 3 things that we need to work on. And then some people, they need to sleep on it. And so you got to know your audience. And sometimes if we can just say, hey, I want to float this idea out and I'd love for you to sleep on it and let's meet about it tomorrow. You're empowering them to become thinkers. You're empowering them to become problem solvers. And you're giving them the space to have the creativity and the reflection in order to create the solution that we need. And so you may have this meeting with them and build them up. Man, that project was amazing. You knocked it out of the park. Here's the new project. How do we take your old project skills and put it on this? Sleep on it and bring me 3 ideas tomorrow morning. Set that meeting up and listen to what they have to say. They're going to create ownership in their own life to be able to do it again. We're reinforcing the positive behavior that we want them to continue to implement. And what we want them to do is to be able to create a commitment. So it's going to be a small commitment. It's going to be able to create momentum. This small commitment is going to be, we're going to meet tomorrow morning. Do we both agree that you can sleep on it tonight and we'll meet tomorrow morning and you'll give me 2 or 3 ideas? And they may say, well, tomorrow's Saturday and I don't work Saturdays. Well, that's fine. Let's agree on whatever that next date and time and delivery is going to be. And make sure we both mutually agree upon the date, the time, the delivery. That way we've got, our first step to creating momentum. So once we're doing that, we want them to come back in. We want to be able to learn what are the roadblocks that we as managers can begin to move. They see things on the front line that we are not going to be able to see. We have to empower them in order to share this information back with us, in order for us as the manager to remove the roadblock. We're creating thinkers. We're empowering leadership within the organization. And we're going to figure out how far these folks can rise before they hit another roadblock, before they maybe have to go get scrappy and go figure some things out. So agree to create that touching base, that follow-up, and then bring them back in, listen to what they have to say, jot this stuff down, co-create, co-solve this stuff, be with them to help remove the barriers, and then let them fly. Give them enough rope to go out there and see what they can do. I mean, there's a huge opportunity for businesses to be able to do more because the manager is stuck in a mindset that they have to do it all, and they have a team that is dying to take on more projects. So when we begin to close this gap of the manager thinking they have to do it all and the employees, the team members thinking, man, if they could just let me have that project, I could do it so much better, faster, quicker, more amazing than what we've done before. So give them small tests. These are small tests. Having them think about it overnight, having them think about it over the weekend or think about it during the week and following back up. If they don't provide any solutions, then they're sharing with you they don't have any interest. But most folks want this opportunity. They want this collaboration with you, with the manager, to be able to deliver these results. So if you're joining me, my name is Catherine Cantey. I'm an executive coach, one of 12 executive coaches, Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder Center Coaching Executive Coach in the U.S. 100% of my clients have created measured results. I'm taking Marshall's 40-year framework of stakeholder center coaching, blending it with my 20 plus years of corporate, being on airplanes and automobiles and traveling around the country and looking at all kinds of businesses through a banking standpoint. So good thing about banking is it opens up doors because money is used by everyone. And I had a great opportunity to learn how so many different businesses operate. And when it comes down to the core fundamentals of a good business, you got to have a good team. You got to have good thinkers. You got to have a good building of a team. And so that's what we're talking about today. This is a power coaching call that I had, just kind of a one-off conversation with one of the leaders I'm working with who is building a team. An executive level building team is typically do more with the same number of people. A manager definition of building a team sometimes is we just need to hire more people. They may both be right at different times, but before we begin to hire people, because that is usually our biggest line item for our business expense, before we just go hire people, we got to at least see if we can grow people and build the team. And that's what we're talking about. If you want to learn, before I recap all this, if you want to learn more about the work I'm doing, you can visit me at catherinecantey.com. You can schedule a call with me. I only work with a few clients a year. If you would like to apply, I would love to be able to see what kind of needs that you have for either you as an individual or for your team that you're working with. 100% of my clients get results. I am thrilled for the work that they're doing. I'm able to help create measured leadership change in organizations with my clients. We do that using practical applications. Because they're practical, we're able to accelerate and we're able to sustain the results. So visit me at catherinecantey.com, click schedule a call, or click on the apply button. Shoot me the information over and let's see if there might be something there. And today, this recording is going to be available on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. Use this to go back and identify how do you build the team that you have right there in front of you. And as we kind of close this out, the takeaways that I have, and if you're one of my clients, you've heard me say this many, many times, is ask, don't tell. So we need to lead with questions, not with, delivered hard solutions. We want to ask them if they're ready. We want to ask them what their thoughts are. We don't want to just shove it down their throat. It's just going to take longer for buy-in. So go ahead and ask, don't tell. The second takeaway is reinforce the good results. Reinforce the good stuff they've done that we want them to keep doing. Find that thing through these reflective questions that we just had. Find the good and reinforce the good. Create accountability. That's the third thing. Create accountability. We want to create a mutually agreed upon next step. We want to be able to agree upon what's going to be delivered, the time, etc. We want to be able to have accountability along the way. And my favorite thing, the first is ask, don't tell. The second is reinforce the good results. The third is create accountability. And the extra credit, the magic on top of everything is follow up. If we create follow up, all this stuff falls into place. If we continue to have these conversations, it all falls into place. We will begin to see things in new light when we create that follow-up conversation. We'll begin to see what their growth is. We'll be able to see what their ideas are. We'll be able to see if they don't even have any ideas. But we're going to be able to do that through these regular types of conversations. If you're interested in learning more, reach out to me at catherinecantey.com. Schedule a call. I only work with a few clients a year. You can apply. I'd love to see what your interests are, what you're looking to create. And if I can answer any kind of questions in the meantime, please reach out to me. I love to be able to hear about what's going on and in your world. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks.